Pittsburgh Steelers make some massive roster moves, highlighted by the loss of safety Keanu Neal, who is now headed to injured reserve due to a rib injury. He was unable to practice all week after being hurt last week against the Green Bay Packers. Nobody anticipated, at the beginning of the week at least, that Neal would be shut down for at least 4 weeks. But nearing the end, you got those rumbles. You heard from a couple of people that the talks were maybe Keanu Neal is headed for IR. The Pittsburgh Steelers make that official. Neal will have to miss at least the next 4 games before opening his 21-day window to return. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers are down to Damontae Kazee as their last remaining starter, with Elijah Riley and Miles Killebrew as backups. So Minkah Fitzpatrick also ruled out for his 3rd consecutive game due to a hamstring injury. He has not practiced since being injured 3 weeks ago. You don't know what's going to happen there. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to try to avoid IR with Minkah Fitzpatrick, obviously, but his return is huge for the Pittsburgh Steelers, much needed right now. Trenton Thompson gets elevated from the practice squad for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's actually expected to start for the Steelers tomorrow in Week 11 against the Cleveland Browns. Meanwhile, a flurry of other moves. Thompson obviously gets called up from the practice squad. This will be his 3rd NFL game, possibly his first start in the NFL. He's a guy that, impressed a little bit during the preseason, had a decent training camp after coming in late, has earned his spot on the practice squad. And he's got some familiarity. Him and Damontae Kazee, actually, Kazee ended and Trenton Thompson started the first or 1 year together at San Diego State. They feel comfortable. I talked to both of them and they said towards the end of the week, communication was there. It kind of felt real natural with them as the starters at the safety position. Michael Walker also gets signed to the 53-man roster. He's a guy, I just made another video about that, a move for the Pittsburgh Steelers that, everybody anticipated coming, but is exactly what they needed. A veteran presence on the inside who can work with the Landon Roberts and Mark Robinson. He's got plenty of pass coverage skills. He's 107 tackles a season ago. He's played at least 16 games his first 3 years in the league and started 12 games for the Atlanta Falcons last season, a former 4th-round pick. This is a guy that, even if you did look outside the team, he was probably the Pittsburgh Steelers' best option to replace Quan Alexander and Cole Holcomb. They'll also try to do that with Tariq Carpenter, who gets elevated for a 2nd consecutive game from the practice squad. Remember, he's a former safety turned inside linebacker. He last week was his first NFL game. He made a special teams tackle. He's a guy that the Pittsburgh Steelers kind of want to see develop, but also understand that he's very young. And for right now, he's a special teams capable guy who they're going to try to rely on, with Mark Robinson and Landon Roberts playing bigger roles. And to top it all off, Pat Freiermuth returns from injured reserve, a huge move for the Pittsburgh Steelers to get their star tight end back, a massive help for Kenny Pickett. He's a guy that hopefully helps turn things around when it comes to the quarterback situation. The Steelers are going to try to get to use him, or try to look to use him a little bit more than they did at the beginning of the year. But finally, for the first time since week 4, Pat Freiermuth will be on the field for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A crazy Saturday for Pittsburgh, one that reshapes their roster with plenty of action. But you're going to head into Cleveland. You're going to look at the next man up mentality, and you're going to try to beat a rookie quarterback and move to 3-0 in the AFC North. And it doesn't matter who's on the field. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're going to look to win, and they're not going to look for any excuses on not to.